Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into a really critical concept in the world of AI, MLOps. It's the thing that takes a brilliant AI model from being just a cool experiment in a lab to a reliable, trustworthy tool that you can actually use in the real world. So let's break down that journey, from raw intelligence to rock-solid stability. All right, so first things first, before we can even talk about the solution, we have to get real about the problem. And honestly, it's a big one. It's all about stability. Why is it that so many AI projects that seem so promising they stumble the second they step outside the development phase? I mean, it's a huge paradox, right? You can have this model that performs with near perfect accuracy in a nice, clean, controlled environment, but then you deploy it into the messy, unpredictable real world, and it just falters. So what's actually going on here? Why does this keep happening? Well, the answer is about as direct as it gets. Without structure, they fail. Simple as that. All the intelligence, all the brain power in the world doesn't really matter if it isn't supported by a solid framework. It's just not enough to survive out there. This slide really tells the whole story, doesn't it? It's like a tale of two systems. On the left, you've got pure chaos. Models start to drift, which just means their accuracy gets worse over time because they're seeing new real-world data they weren't trained on. That leads to weird results, rising costs, a mess. But on the right, you see order. You see reliable models, performance that's actually being watched, and controlled processes. This is the difference that structure makes. So how do we actually get that structure? What is this path to control that can take us from that chaotic system over to the stable one? Well, as you've probably figured out by now, the answer has a name. And it's called MLOps. Put simply, MLOps is the structure that's designed to manage the entire AI lifecycle. And that's the key word, entire. It isn't just about building the model, it's about creating one single controlled system that pulls together your data, your models, and your operations. And what's so crucial to understand is that MLOps isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a continuous cycle. You build, you test, you deploy a model. But that's really where the work begins. From there, you have to constantly monitor its performance and then use what you learn to improve it, which, starts the cycle all over again. It's a living process that's built for resilience. Okay, so we get the theory. But what's the actual impact? What really happens when you put this MLOps structure in place and you make that shift from chaos to control? Well, the benefits directly solve the problems we were just talking about. That model drift we mentioned, it gets countered by having reliable, version-controlled models. Those sudden drops in performance, they get caught right away because of active monitoring. Risky, Wild West updates are replaced by a governed, systematic process. And, so important for any business, compliance rules are enforced automatically, not as some panicked afterthought. Look, if you need just one visual to sum up the value, this is it. The operational risk of trying to run AI without a proper MLOps framework it's incredibly high. With MLOps, you are actively, systematically pushing that risk level down. You're turning AI from a high-stakes gamble into a predictable, manageable business asset. And that brings us right to the end here. So after everything we've gone over, what's the one core takeaway? What's the final equation you should really walk away with? It all comes down to this simple but really powerful statement. Your models create the intelligence, but MLOps creates the stability. And without that stability, the intelligence can't deliver any consistent value. You can think of it like this. The model is the powerful engine, right? But MLOps is the chassis, the control systems, and the driver all rolled into one. And that really leaves us with this final thought. The goal isn't just to build smart AI. The real challenge, the crucial question for any organization today, is how do you build the structure you need to turn that intelligence into tangible, reliable, and scalable business value? And as we've seen today, that structure is MLOps.